Everybody, good afternoon. Thank you for your patience. We are now calling to order the regular session of the New Kent County School Board. Do I hear a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye. Ms. Cunha, could you please read the certification of closed session?
My pleasure. Whereas the New Kent County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the New Kent County School Board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Kent County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the New Kent County School Board.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to approve the certification of the closed session?
So moved.
Mr. Vaught has the first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Reimer. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye.
Mr. Vaughn?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano?
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. We are now out of closed. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody. First item on the agenda this evening is presentations, recognitions, and the school spotlight. Dr. Nichols.
Yes, and tonight we are proud to have Quinton Elementary School here. And they're going to talk about the work that they do, specifically around special education. I will tell you, when you go to Quinton, it looks like magic because kids make incredible progress, but it's incredible hard work by the staff that is here in partnership with our family. So with that, I will turn it over to, look at that, right? So Ms. Block will start us.
Good evening, Dr. Nichols, Mr. Pagano, school board members, and guests. I'm Katie Block, a special education teacher at Quinton Elementary. I'm joined by my colleagues, Lauren Burkhead, preschool special education teacher, and Stephanie Murdoch, multi-age special education teacher, to inform you about the wonderful aspects of our amazing special education department. Before we dive in, let's start with a special welcome.
Mine is here.
Hi, school board. Hi, school board.
What a sweetie.
That's awesome.
Let's start with the basics. We have multiple environments designed to support our students with disabilities. Our youngest cubs are served in pre-K, also known as early childhood special education, and I hear one of them over there coming in to see us. Our students with the highest academic, social, communication, behavior, and daily living needs are served between 2 academic support classrooms. Finally, we have 14 general education K-5 classes that support the individualized needs of a large number of students with disabilities. At Quinton, we serve 89 students with disabilities. This makes up about 16% of our population. The Quinton Way centers around inclusion, but what does this mean? Inclusion gives all students access to the same spaces, learning opportunities, and experiences regardless of their differences. To execute and promote inclusivity, we teach all of our students about differences, tolerance, acceptance, and compassion. This ensures our Cubs leave for middle school as well-rounded, kind, accepting community members. To make our campus a place where all students can be successful, we have a variety of tools available to help support students' needs. This includes flexible seating, communication boards in classrooms, playgrounds, hallways, and adaptive equipment. So let's dig deeper into the different settings offered at Quinton. Most of our special education students are served in typical K through 5 rooms focused on the standards of learning. Special educators might pull students for small group to work on their individualized education program goals, also known as IEPs. They also sometimes teach alongside the classroom teacher while implementing accommodations and helping their students utilize the skills they are being taught. To share more about our preschool program, I'm going to pass the torch to Miss Burkhead, also known as Miss Lauren.
In our special education preschool classroom, we serve both children in general education and special education. General education students serve as role models for play skills, communication, social skills, and routines. Additionally, our general education students learn acceptance and inclusion at the youngest age and become lifelong advocates of inclusion. Half of the students in the classroom have a disability, and all of the students are fully incorporated into the general education preschool curriculum. To show what this looks like, we have in action, we have a short clip from one of our morning meetings, and just take note of how all of the different adults in the room are supporting varying needs. I promise it's worth the wait.
Nigel, Nigel. And is for thank you. Olive, Olive, O is for Owen. And octopus. Pee-wee, Pee-wee. P is for pirate, penguin. You gotta get your thumb in there, Timmy. P. Raise your hand, please. Like, yes, like.
You do like euphonics. So as you can see, all the students were fully participating and incorporated into the activity regardless of abilities and difference. And when students do require some extra support, my instructional assistants or myself are able to model communication, model movements, aid in different ways, and provide varying levels of support and prompts. Now Ms. Murdoch will discuss our academic support classrooms.
Quentin supports 2 classrooms for students with high needs across multiple areas. These may include communication, behavior, learning needs, social skills, and support with daily living. Our academic support classrooms are a zone program, so students with these high needs who are zoned for George Watkins or New Kent Elementary are brought to Quentin for this special program. Our ASU students receive heavy modifications to the curriculum and layers of support to help meet their needs developmental and functionally. Most students use augmentative alternative communication or AAC devices to express their needs and wants, which you heard a little bit earlier. The students in grades 3 through 5 are on a modified curriculum called the Virginia Alternative Assessment Program and are on track for an Applied Studies diploma. Our school strives to incorporate our ASC students into as much of the general education experience as possible. This includes daily morning meetings in their general education classrooms, lunch and recess with their gen ed peers, and resource with their gen ed classes. Each room has instructional assistants who are vital in ensuring students' individual needs are supported. Most ASC students, along with many preschool and collaborative special education students, receive support from our related service providers. Speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy are vital to helping our students learn communication, fine motor, gross motor, and sensory skills needed to be successful in school and in the community. Instructional assistants also not only help to keep students safe, but also provide valuable instruction and accommodations for our special education students.
Our special education department, alongside all school staff, work diligently every day to give our students an immersive, loving school environment. From assemblies to field trips, school concerts, morning meetings, our students are a vital part of our Cub community. Here are just a few more examples of how Quentin embraces the idea of inclusion. Every Friday, academic support students, alongside a few general education peers, deliver staff shout-outs throughout the building. Many of our students with higher needs have peer helpers who model behavior and social skills across settings within the building. Students are able to use their earned classroom rewards to visit ASC classrooms as helpers for special activities like crafts or projects. Quinton is excited to be adding an additional special education preschool classroom and an additional academic support classroom next year. With our growing population of students with disabilities, we look forward to continuing to support their individualized needs while also teaching all of our Cubs to be kind, accepting, and helpful community members. Now let's finish things off with a special send-off.
Bye, Cam.
Thank you for your time and your continued support of our Cubs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pagano, if I may, if you're part of the Quinton family team, will you please stand for a second? It takes there are a lot of individuals that wrap around students. Oh, I'm sorry.
Next up.
How do you go from there? So, yes, Mr. Pagano, this is the month of the military child. So New Kent County Public Schools proudly served over 200 children in military families, so that number may be surprising to you. We take pride in educating and supporting our students and families who sacrifice so much for our country. We are working on a Purple Star designation for at least one of our schools for next year. We're in the middle of the process for that. We work hard to support our military families, and we believe that designation eventually will be across the entire school division, but Ross and I are working for at least one, if not two of our schools next year, just in support of our military families. So very proud of them and our partnership. So the next recognition coming your way is Autism Acceptance Month. So it fits perfectly with Quinton Elementary's presentation. So April is Autism Acceptance Month. It used to be Autism Awareness Month, but we need to do better than just be aware. We've got to take it another step, or two or three. New Kent Schools raises awareness, promotes understanding, and celebrates the talents and contributions of students with autism. So very proud of the work that we continue to do there. It is also, April's a busy month. It is also School Library Month. April is School Library Month. We have incredible librarians, media specialists. So that is a picture from Quinton Elementary in that seat, which is incredibly comfortable. But we want to thank Ms. Stamper, Ms. Carmine, Ms. Steiner, Ms. Mordecai, and Ms. McKinney, who's at High School as part of the library. And now, board members, for a new feature at our board meetings, we're going to recognize, we have so many incredible students, we're trying to find ways to weave them into our presentation. So we have some student athletes of the month I'd like to tell you about. So if Ryan Griffin would please stand, so I can say, let me tell you a little bit about Ryan. So Ryan is a 10th grade student at New Kent High School, working through honors level coursework on her advanced diploma. She also attends Chesapeake Bay Governor's School. So Ryan, you may not know this, but Ms. Cunha is our board member who's part of that board too. She's the daughter of Angela Griffith and Daniel LaFawn. In addition to being a star athlete, she's also a stellar student. I didn't even know this was possible. Ryan has worked to earn herself a 4.4 grade point average and is currently holding straight A's, juggling both New Kent High School and Chesapeake Bay. She's also a highly dedicated student athlete. As a high school sophomore, this gymnastics season, Ryan led her team by earning her way onto the awards podium at every meet, including districts, regionals, and states. I will tell you, I went to a couple of meets. You have gymnasts, and then you have Ryan. So it's appropriate to say the bar is raised when Ryan takes the floor. So she, at states where she placed in every event, so at the state level bars, floor, beam, and vault, she's the third in the all-around gymnastics category in the state of Virginia, which, I know we have other athletes in here, but so in state competition, it's by class 1, class 2, so you end up with 6 state champions. Gymnastics is not like that. She is the third best gymnast in the state of Virginia. cross classes.
Come on.
She is. So if you read the Richmond Times, she may also look familiar because she was chosen as this year's All-Metro Gymnast of the Year. So I present to you the amazing Ryan Griffin.
Yes.
Our next student athlete of the month is Marty Ray. So if you've been to a few basketball games, you may not recognize him because he's typically on the floor at some point, recklessly going to the basket and defending the ball. Marty is an 11th grade student at New Kent High School, working through honors levels coursework on his advanced diploma. He's the son of Angela Ray. Off the court, Marty also excels in the classroom as he upholds a 3.9 GPA and currently has straight A's for the semester, which is in season. That is incredible. Marty this year made first team All-Region, first team All-District. He also finished 4th in the state VHSL and made 3-point shots. I could make it in attempts, but I don't make it. Marty finished 2nd in scoring on the team and was a captain that led New Kent to a historic 21-0 start. They were district champs, region runners-up, and also advanced to the state. Marty works hard every day. What you may not know is if you go to the gym at 6 a.m., he will be in there. There's a reason he and Kyle and the rest are that good is they put in the time to do that work. You know, coming every day before school, I should just read my script. Coming every day before school at 6 a.m. to work on his game and to be an example for all. And the great news with both of our student athletes of the month is they return next year. So, congratulations. So I know they have family here too, so if we can have their family stand, because we can't do this without you. So if you just stand for a second. So we can applaud you. Thank you for sending us amazing young leaders. So board members, our next recognition is a first for us, but what I think will be a monthly occurrence. I don't know, Kyle, we'll see how we do. So if it doesn't happen again, that's on us. We want to recognize incredible seniors, so the class of 2025 is full of them. So tonight, I would like to introduce you to Kyle Diggs. So our senior of the month is Kyle Diggs. Kyle is the son of Ed and Lisa Diggs. In addition to Kyle's athletic two-sport tenure his senior year, Kyle soars academically. He's currently enrolled in both dual enrollment and honors courses, where he's earned a 4.43 GPA. In addition to Ryan and Marty, Kyle has also worked incredibly hard to be a straight A student. He's a 2-year captain. He's a 4-year starter. He led New Kent in rebounds, steals, and assists, and was one of our 1,000-point scorers, which doesn't happen every day. Set a school record for 3-point percentage at 46%. Often outside, he was the grit of the team, and with his physicality and anchored everything we do. Kyle also made first team All-Region and first team All-District. He was also a member of our state qualifying golf team. He was a first team player for the Bay Rivers District and also Region 3A. We're gonna let Kyle, since he's a graduating senior, say a few words about his future plans, his E-pathway, and his time at New Kent High School. So Kyle, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, school board members, Dr. Nichols, and guests. After I graduate this year, I plan on attending James Madison University and studying finance. Following college, I would like to work at corporate America or in corporate America as a financial analyst. For me, enrollment was always the right next step. College gives you the freedom to find and nurture your interests and hobbies. Finding who I am will not only help me in the real world as a person, but also as a worker and a leader. For the last 13 years, sports have been my outlet for growth. But as my athletic career comes to an end, it's time to find new avenues. With that being said, I would like to thank Mr. Bearford for helping me through this decision, as well as giving me advice and just helping me through all decisions that I've made in high school. I think it's important to recognize him for the impact he's had on me. Thank you all for taking the time to hear a little bit more about me. Thank you, Ms. Strickland, for nominating me for this award. Thank you to all my teachers, past and present, and thank you to my mom and dad for supporting me here tonight. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Diggs. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Absolutely appreciate it.
Thank you. We have so many incredible seniors. We look forward to highlighting them each month. I did neglect Mr. Pagano. We met Ryan. Ryan is, although sophomore, is solidly on the enrollment pathway. She hopes to extend gymnastics talents to the collegiate level, depending on all of her interests. She's interested in the medical field and criminal forensics. I see an intersection between those two. Marty also plans to follow the enrollment pathway. He plans to spend the summer touring collegiate organizations, following potential scholarship offers for basketball, and at this time he's keeping his options open, but he is looking to declare his major in business. And I wouldn't be the superintendent lead recruiter if I didn't say there are great careers in education. Should you choose to see me, and we will talk afterwards. We do it all. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
Yes, sir.
It's an honor, guys. It's our honor. We're proud of you, and great job. Can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. We are going to take a 5-minute recess. All right, everybody, we are reconvened. The next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. So board members, by now you've had the opportunity to review the items listed on the consent agenda, including minutes from the February 3rd and February 27th meetings, the monthly financials for February 2025, and the superintendent's recommendation regarding personnel matters only. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaught.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. Consent agenda is approved 5-0. Moving on to new business. The first item is Dr. Young, the annual plan, first read.
Good evening, Mr. Pagano, members of the board, and Superintendent Nichols. Tonight I'm just going to talk about our annual plan, proposed annual plan for 25-26. The numbers being used for the proposed annual plan are actually the numbers from last year because the federal award has not been provided yet. So the numbers may change, but the information will not. Okay? So an annual review is required in order to show the state and show the federal government that we are actually using this money for special education programs. We have to do 3 separate reviews. One is a proportionate set-aside community meeting that was held on March 11th. We had 4 community members in attendance for that meeting. We have to present this to the local special education advisory committee. We did so on March 19th, and then we have to present it to the local school board, which is today. So the statement of assurances that we signed by submitting the annual plan is that we are going to guarantee a free and appropriate public education for students that will consist of individualized education programs, an inclusive environment, and prevent the over-identification of students. So we actually sign an agreement that states how we're going to do those things when we submit this plan. The range of services that we provide in New Kent County covers 14 categories of disability, with the exception of deaf-blind. We do not currently have any students enrolled that meet that criteria. 14 is asterisks, because technically the state only has 13 categories, but we use the 14th category of developmental delay to service some children that are younger, under age 7, who have different types of needs. We serve our students under a continuum of service with a level of access to general education and their peers, and we also provide the full slate of related services: physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language, vision, orientation and mobility, deaf and hard of hearing, and behavior support. We also have to, in developing this plan, we have to consider 3 major components, one being the local jails education program. If we have children who are incarcerated at the time, that also are covered under an IEP for us. We have to present a maintenance of effort, which is a declaration that we are funding special education at the same or higher levels than we did the previous year. And we, of course, have to hold our proportionate set-aside meeting. This is where we meet with members of the community to decide how to use what's called the proportionate set-aside funds. Our community chooses to use those to provide speech and language services for children who are privately placed or placed in home education. Part B, it's actually broken into 2 parts. Part B is called Section 611, and that is dealing with the education of students pre-kindergarten through 12. Grade 12, and our flow-through funds of last year with salaries, benefits, and indirect costs was $781,036. When you break that down, you can see the breakdown between what goes to salaries, benefits, contracted services, and proportionate set-aside under Part B. Part B, Section 619, is specifically funds ear-tagged for early childhood special education. Under our 619 annual plan last year, we received $17,573. And that covered partial of 1 IA position in the preschool program. And then I've put a link in there in case you guys wanted to do some more research about the annual plan. Is there any questions?
Board members, this is a first read. It'll come back
Yes.
to you in May for a second read.
I'm excited.
Related to.
Great.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Young. Next item on the agenda is the Perkins Grant. Mr. Ross Miller.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nichols. It's a pleasure tonight to bring forth the Perkins Grant for approval. And the Perkins Grant is for the improvement of CTE programs in schools. So all the funds go towards the CTE program and building knowledge, technical skills for students, and basically putting together curriculum as well as equipment and materials for them. This is developed by gathering feedback first from our CTE teachers as well as our advisory members for our advisory board. We also get information from the labor market and some basically performance indicators that we get back from the state on things that we're doing really well and things that they suggest that we work on. And we put all that together and then put it together into a grant. The grant total is $39,000, and so those funds we use for professional development. One of the areas that we were noted that we needed to improve on was non-traditional employment promotion or non-traditional employment training. And so that is when you have people who aren't traditionally employed in an area and providing those people training in that area, so that we promote, like, sort of a big one is like women in engineering. And so to promote more participation there. We use some of those funds for CTE credential testing, and then some of our curriculum and software for our CTE classes we also purchase through Perkins Grant. And then we do get a little bit of technology equipment from there as well. This is up for approval this evening. So, any questions?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is student fees, fines, and charges. Ms. Haney-Morgan.
Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Nichols, tonight we bring details regarding the proposed fees in our JN policy. So you will see attached in board docs a list of changes, proposed changes for different items. I'll point out that a lot of these are just rising costs of consumables, so really it's just the cost of everything. You guys know in your personal lives it's no different in education and what we're trying to do. I will point out an increase in our athletic participation fee. We did look at other surrounding districts and we are proposing an increase to $50. Other items of interest, there is a beta change for our middle school program. Just a little bit of a lower fee, but then different charges for different types of activities that they do during the year. I'll take any questions.
Any board member have any questions?
I have just one. I did look at it earlier. I can't pull it up, but did you say it's an increase of $50 for the athletic?
No, ma'am,
$250.
$250, so it's actually
From
$30 to $50.
30, I'm trying not to say 250 because then it sounds like it's 250.
Yeah.
Our
It
plan
would now
with
be
that-
$50, it was $30.
There you go.
Thank you.
And our plan is to support the athletic program. A lot of that funds do go towards transportation of our teams, and so the difference, what we're increasing will actually go back into the athletic student activity fund.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are moving to now another new section on the agenda. This is school board goals review and update. First item is Project New Kent Elementary. Dr. Nichols, please.
Yes, sir, and board members, as this is a monthly feature, these will be shorter presentations, so each of them that we go through. So this is Project New Kent Elementary. I want to talk to you about that. We've had a couple of design meetings, so I want to thank Mr. Pagano and Ms. Cunha for serving on that design committee, along with staff and parents and county support too. So Mr. Hathaway, a couple board of supervisors, Ms. Pearson and Mr. Moyer, Parks and Recreation. So one of the parts of the design committee had to do is they had to come up with a mission statement about what they want this school to be. So the committee worked through that, really looking at a school that is adaptable as we continue to grow and continue to shift, making sure we have that in place, and really prepare students for a bright future. The graphic on the left that you'll see was an activity that we did where people shouted out what they wanted to see in the school, and then we had to place our dots. We only got 3 of them, I think, maybe. And we had to place those dots where we agreed, so, like in the picture you can see, maybe, safety has a ton of dots on the yellow, and also functional is another one. So the committee did a really nice job with that and coming up with a mission statement. So there you see some pictures of our work. So the Mosley Architect team was with us and helped us work through potential designs using the existing footprint of where a school could go. Not that any groups technically won the competition, but Ms. Cunha and Ms. Morheim's group actually came up with sort of the winning design, or winning mock-up, I guess you should say. Not that I'm bitter at all. So in the first session, one of the things that we did is we came up with 4 different ways to situate that on the property. Just to familiarize yourself with it, is basically where the current baseball field is now for the middle school. So 2.1 and 2.2, that was the 2-story option. 3.1 and 3.2, that is a 3-story option. So we are actually gonna go visit a couple 3-story elementary schools in the coming weeks, just to kind of show that, somebody in the conversation was saying, I don't know if you can have a 3-story school in New Kent, and we direct them to New Kent Middle School, which is actually 3 stories already. You just don't get that when you walk in. Kids can't navigate stairs, I've seen it done. We would be okay. That's a little bit of a spoiler for the next one. We also looked at, one of the things that we're trying to solve is traffic is horrendous. So trying to solve some of the traffic flow issues that we could have. So we looked at where it would sit, no matter what the floor plan was on the property. The brown area that you see right now on the screen, that is where the current school is. The other area is where the new school would sit, and then some options in terms of traffic flow. Both designs there, orientations I should say, have a secondary road coming out of it. You can see that just below the brown area. So the committee went with moving forward with a 3-story option. There's still a ton of work that has to be done, but the committee did a great job of coming to a consensus on how to move forward. So here's where we're at right now. May, looking at completing the schematic design. August, to potentially submit a site plan so that VDOT and everyone else can look at this. Fall of 2025 would be to complete bid documents. We would love, this is our potential timeline, to receive bids either December or late January, and potentially look at a new school opening fall of 2027 would be the earliest we could make that happen, or even a January 2028. Because we're dealing with a school that will function the entire time, we don't necessarily have to open in fall. We could look at a later opening, although fall would be absolutely ideal. There's a 6-month demo and site flip once the school opens. So there's still a lot of things to be decided, and I'll continue to update you at this meeting. I know the county is currently looking at potential tax increase to fund this project. So there's a whole funding plan we have to work through, and then some intensive design pieces, which we would invite you to participate in as well. So that's where we are with the New Kent Elementary School project. So open it up any questions or board member comments for those that are part of this project. So
Thank you, Dr. Nichols.
that's my last slide.
Any board member have a question?
Mr. Chair.
Please.
So the exit or the entry would come off of the current traffic jam situation and would run behind, is that a road that,
Back up to that slide.
yeah, you would have to, so where would that road extend out to, the end of the road coming out of there?
Which side, top of the screen or bottom?
Bottom.
The bottom screen would come out to the existing road that, so that's New Kent Middle School in the bottom left.
Right.
If you orient, so that's coming out to that existing road there that comes into the high school. It does have a technical name, no, Egypt's this one. Now, I will tell you, Mr. Vaughn, we're also looking at potential Could it come out further away from that? One of the things that I would like to do is get it away from,
That's what I was thinking,
Yeah. So-
as far down as we can possibly take it to get it out of.
yes, sir. So there is conversation, and this will take a lot of support from the county, is to run it, where the woods is on the bottom right.
Yeah,
And kind of run it ideally all the way out to Cumberland-ish.
yes,
And really distance it, because right now, I will tell you, there's an operational issue. We have the maintenance team, they direct traffic every morning and every
Yes.
afternoon. You would have another outlet there, which we would struggle to manage and maintain. So we may gate it, we're looking at all those things, that's just kind of the current.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's what I was gonna add, Dr. Nichols, you just said the word gated, so part of the discussion, fellow board members, was, you know, what's more important for us to remove, sort of from the traffic flow or the impediment of traffic is either the parent drop-off or the school bus loops. So you can see here, these are the school bus loops, those are less of a concern than the parent drop-off at elementary school. I think they were talking like insane numbers of parents, so we were trying to, you know, have them come off of 249 at a different place, use the parent drop-off, but then somehow gate or prevent them from exiting
Yeah.
to where all the other school traffic is moving, right? So they'd have to loop and then go back out to 249 at a different piece.
That'll be our road, similar to the one that's at Quinton, so it's not state maintained, so we can gate it, we can manage it, however we sort of
Yeah.
see fit, but I'm still pushing for a secondary exit that extends.
yeah, I mean, let's go for the ideal.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's using the property that we own, but we're still pushing on the other side. Yes, sir.
Anybody else have any questions about Project New Kent Elementary? Right, second item under this new piece here, Dr. Nichols, is a strategic plan update.
Yes, sir. So board members, you know we've worked hard on the strategic plan. So my intent is each month to bring you an update based on a specific goal. Because if I was to do a strategic plan update across 4 goals and no strategies, we would be here till Thursday. So really gonna try to chunk it for us and for the audience, and focus on specific goals. So, it is our E3 strategic plan. There are 4 goals: student achievement, which also has the 3E component, the recruitment and retention of highly effective talent, organizational efficiency, and then strengthening our partnerships with family and community. So, this is approved by the board several meetings ago, and we're already off and running with it. So I'd like to zoom in on the first goal. The first goal, that picture looks familiar, is student achievement. That's really, so instruction, that is who will be leading that piece. Employment, enlistment, enrollment. So really it's optimizing teaching and learning to prepare students for post-secondary success or post-secondary readiness. You saw several examples of that tonight with our students of the month. So within that goal, there are strategies. So we have several strategies related to that goal. Board members, as we go through the next couple of years with this plan, you will see strategies come out, you will see strategies come in as we continue to evolve. Some of these are things that we're gonna be done, did it, complete. So what do we need? So that's the ongoing conversation in these meetings and moving forward related to it. Each of these goals has key performance indicators, KPIs related to it, so that we can talk about how are we delivering on this strategic plan. A lot of organizations have a strategic plan that just sits. We want one that is actionable. So some of those KPIs will shift too as the state and continues to evolve. So I do anticipate in early fall for us to bring you a whole host of data metrics around the 3 E's related to the new accountability matrix and some of the other components that we have there. So tonight, I'd like to dive into strategy 1, which is develop, implement, and track intervention plans for students identified as at risk, either academically, behavior, and or due to chronic absenteeism. So key performance indicator that I want to share tonight is early literacy assessments. That is VALS. VALS is a brand new assessment to us, so we can't benchmark it against anything yet. But we can go, are we getting better as an organization? So that's what I'd like to share with you. this evening. So the top bar is fall kindergarten across the school division. You can see where so it's sort of like a stoplight, green, all systems go, yellow, some caution, and then red, really stop and intervene. So the first line is fall K. The second is mid-year. Mid-year was given about a month ago. What you're seeing is beautiful and indicative of the work that our teachers do. So if you look at that green line at the top, fall K, 26% and change by mid-year. Now that standard goes up. That mid-year, we're already over 58%. We're getting traction. You can't always determine where a kid comes in, but you can certainly determine what you do with them while they're with you.
That's good.
So you will see, so the next one is fall, and the one under it is mid-year fall. So you see all those lines sliding left. That is what you want to see. And when I bring you spring, I want to see it slide even further to the left. This is all students in that grade level. So fall, second grade, you see that same trend to mid-year second grade, all those greens are sliding left. So fall of third grade to mid-year third grade, fall of, so that's, the last one is total. So at fall, you had 29% that fell in that percentage of risk, and now we're down to 21%. Once again, it's a brand new assessment. We don't have it benchmarked, and there are still some longitudinal questions that I have from a data perspective, but what I can say is we are growing kids at an incredible rate, and I look forward to kind of moving that forward. Mr. Rum, you look like you have a...
Oh, I just want to see what this looks like next year.
Yes, sir. And that's across this 3-year strategic plan. We want to bring you that data longitudinally and look fall to fall, because I want our fall first grade numbers to look better next year.
Exactly.
Because of all the intervention they've received in kindergarten. So one of the questions that you may be having is like, how do we do this work? Well, one, we hire incredible people like the ones you saw before you tonight at Quinton Elementary. But we have a process for intervention, so what I'm sharing with you. So we did strategy, we did KPI, and now we're kind of doing how. So we administer the vows, that's step 1. Step 2, we have low and moderate risk, so any student that is falling in that low or moderate risk requires intervention or a student reading plan. If you're high risk, you receive 2.5 hours of additional intervention per week in your student reading plan. So if you fall in any of those categories, you have a student reading plan, we just ratchet up the amount of intervention that you have. So that student reading plan, reading specialists, they are the specialists, they develop that plan, and they customize it for any student falling in that category. It includes specific interventions, frequency, and measurable goals. So each kid has their own version of their sort of strategic plan. Yes, sir.
So one of the things that I am interested too in, what are we measuring next? Have you been able to assess what we're measuring now that we weren't measuring before that is showing up as a deficiency?
I think that is a question I can get you specific answers to. Are we seeing some trends and things that we weren't measuring before that are kind of flagging at this point?
Yeah, of course, if you're gonna get it to me, you'd want the whole board.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Absolutely. Like I said, it is a new assessment. They do have different additional things related to it. Oh, boy.
I can tell you're passionate about it.
I am. I'm moved to tears on this one. Intervention. So I said the high-risk students, and then there's progress monitoring. So progress is monitored quarterly by the school. So even though the assessment is given 3 times, fall, mid-year, and spring, it is monitored quarterly by school staff. I was with our principals today at 3 for a monthly meeting, and we talked about the data displays and how they utilize this, and they look at students across multiple factors. So one of the things that may fall into the student reading plan is attendance. If you're chronically absent, I can guarantee that you're probably not doing well in reading. So there may be an attendance component, and maybe all of these. They really look at that whole child and whole family and put a plan in to support kids. But we're incredibly excited about the progress that what we're seeing related to this strategy and this KPI. So focus next month, like I said, I wanted to give you bite-sized versions of the strategic plan and then just continually bring this forward. So next month, it is that season, so it fits nicely, is recruitment and retention of highly effective talent. So we have a whole new marketing campaign and a lot of things in place to make sure we're fully staffed to start the year. So I'll bring you an update on where we are related to a strategy and also key performance indicators for members. So the plan was not only approved, it is in motion and making a difference. So board members will be happy to answer any questions you may have while I sip some water.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Anybody have any questions or further input?
No.
All right, very
Great
good.
job.
So the last item under this section of the new agenda is policy review and revision. So we do not have any submissions, there's nothing here to discuss, but in sort of recapping our prior meetings, fellow board members, this is where if there was a proposal that we decided we as a board wanted to take on, where it would be for first read or second read and voting. So we don't have anything in that category this evening. So that's going to take us to the next new item on this agenda, which is items for vote of consideration. And just again, as a recap, the idea here was if a board member wanted to propose something that we would then take up on the next meeting, this is your ability to present it to the board and we would vote or to consider whether as a group we wanted to address it at the next meeting. I would say in thinking about this and some of the other proposals that we'll look at tonight, we do have the ability as a board to vote to amend the things we're voting on tonight and maybe approve one or two of these things this evening instead of carrying it forward if there's no need to do that. So, Mr. Reimer, you are up first, sir, with Technology Oversight Committee request.
Yes, so the idea of this request is we have a very small IT department here. Basically, it falls on the shoulder of one man. And the idea for this would be to go out and reach out into the community for people who have expertise in the technology sector and ask them to serve on a committee to review as a review team. They would look at things like security, help with developing an inventory of the applications, look at how the applications interact among themselves, look at how we do RFPs, participate in RFPs, look at rules for using technology. Like I said, once again, it's a way to augment our technology expertise at the school. Any questions on it? I proposed a draft. I'm open to suggestions for alteration and amendment. Once again, I laid out the reason I thought that this might be useful.
I have a question.
Sure.
Help me understand what's broken that we're trying to fix, or what, and let me finish my question, please. And what will this do to improve if there's nothing broken or there's nothing that needs to be further developed? Just so I'll understand why I'm not a committee kind of guy.
Okay, so the idea is that this would help to, when we do a review, say, of security, we could take a overall look and see if there are
I know what you're saying.
vulnerabilities in the way that our software is deployed or being used. Once again, this is the idea of multiple people having had experience in this area might be able to catch things that we wouldn't have thought about.
Okay.
The other idea being making sure that when we purchase software, and I'm not sure that this has been a problem so far, but we don't over-purchase in terms of features. A lot of times when we look at software, we're promised a lot of features, but we're really only looking for one or two. And also making sure that the software when we acquire operates seamlessly, or as seamlessly as possible with the software that we already have. Once again, this isn't to replace what we have, it's to kind of have another set of eyes looking at things.
Okay.
Mr. Reimer, does this include reviewing instructional software to possibly test for redundancies that maybe we could save money?
Conceivably, depending upon the workload of the committee, that certainly would be within the scope of something that they could do.
Mr. Reimer, I understand that, you know, this is your background and your love, but aren't we talking about something that is more administrative in nature than a school board obligation? I mean, we have a department that takes care of this, we have a man in charge of that, he has staff that helps him. Why are we getting involved in this? I don't see an unmet need.
Well, so one of the reasons, we do have an oversight responsibility, and most of what we're talking about here is what I would consider oversight. I'm not talking about, you know, doing the physical deployment, I'm just talking about reviewing how things are and looking and see if they're vulnerable.
But, so, let me, I understand that, let me challenge you though, isn't there, or could there be a better way to do this?
Hire more people.
What you're suggesting is a committee with 5 members, public meetings, minutes, quarterly meetings. How is that oversight in helping our technology department? It doesn't seem to fast track anything, it doesn't seem to.
It doesn't fast track.
To provide advice, so that's what I'm thinking, like, you know, when the technology department has an issue that, you know, maybe it's an idea that they need to consult with somebody or to get a second set of eyes on it, isn't there, or could there be a better way to do it, more of an à la carte approach?
Well, I would think members of the committee outside of meetings could be consulted and engaged. Now, once again, that would depend upon their time, because if they're experts in their field, they'll almost certainly have full-time jobs.
So what you're suggesting, that if there's no issue with the technology department, that the committee is just there, it exists, they're having open public meetings, subject to minutes being taken to just review what the technology department is doing on a daily basis?
Not on a daily basis. It would be, you know, the meetings would be periodical. They would have an agenda before them. The members would work on the agenda between meetings.
Anybody else have any questions or comments about this proposal?
Have you had a chance to discuss this idea with Mr. Terry?
I have, and I have talked to the superintendent about setting up a meeting with Mr. Terry, and I'm planning to do so.
Mr. Reimer and I were looking at STEAM, which we'll talk about in budget in a few minutes, and that was one of my suggestions, was sit down and have a conversation at the speed that we move and have to move in order to meet the needs, and also the line of operations and oversight. So I'm happy to make that happen. Like I said, Mr. Reimer and I talked about this specific thing on Friday. Mr. Terry and I spoke this morning, so we'd be happy to kind of coordinate that and
I guess I would appreciate feedback from Mr. Terry and understand from his perspective if this is something that could provide him with something he would like to have.
Yeah, I agree. I think that meeting should take place before we are able to move on.
Okay.
Committees can do one of two things. They can be amazing and helpful and help promote, or they can bog the whole process down and create a whole new set of issues on their own. And that's why I think.
Membership, as you know, may note, is lean on this committee.
Yeah, so I would suggest that we, that meeting take place first and then see what comes out of that.
one of the things, if I may, while our technology department is incredibly lean, I think Sean does a fantastic job of leading them and has moved us light years forward from when I started in 19 and when Sean came aboard a couple of years ago. We do have some incredible external partners that we rely on for things that we can't do. So I think we can kind of dive into that, kind of share, the role of OpTech, for example, and the role of this piece, and kind of work through that conversation. So happy to make that happen, board members.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you all.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, Mr. Reimer. Moving on to Ms. Dombrowski, you have a trio. The first one is the proposal to conduct the school board annual review at a meeting to be held prior to the end of the school year.
Yes,
Floor is yours.
As you know, in our governance norms and protocols that we recently passed, it was specified that we would hold a school board evaluation annually. It's also already in our policies, and I wanted to get something on the calendar where we would take the time to go through this. There are a number of, I don't know if rubric is the right word, but forms that can help you to determine the process of what that evaluation would look like. That is something I'm definitely open to suggestions. But I really do feel strongly that it's important that we come together and more or less hash out what our goals are. We're over a year into our terms, and in order to better communicate with Dr. Nichols and his staff exactly what our ultimate goals are as a board and come to a consensus on that, I feel that holding that evaluation before the end of the school year, if possible, if not, maybe during the summer, but so we're ready to go forward beginning in the fall.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments about this proposal?
I think that it is important for us to have some type of evaluation, self-evaluation as a board, as a means of accountability and transparency, just as we require an evaluation of the superintendent requires evaluations of other admin and teachers. I think it's just a part of accountability and transparency as a board that we should be advocating for. Now, what that's going to look like, we have to decide amongst ourselves. Doesn't have to be anything too cumbersome or
Peer-to-peer?
And as far as the method and what we use is gonna has to still be determined. So I don't know how we want to proceed as far as that.
Anyone else? All right, I have a question. So, just a point of clarification, we have it in our rules, policies, regulations, whichever heading that falls under, that we are to do a school board review annually. There is actually no state law that requires us to do that, as opposed to we are required by law, right, to evaluate the superintendent. Right. So just point of clarification on that. But are we suggesting that we're going to be evaluating ourselves, or are we open to the idea of another mechanism of evaluation? Third party, superintendent evaluating us, something along those lines?
Well, if you look at...
If I gotta evaluate myself, I'm doing a pretty darn good job.
Yeah, if we do peer-to-peer, I wanna pair up.
Well, if you look at the policy that's in our manual that specifies what the school board evaluation can look like, there's a number of different ways that it can be done, but it does say it's a school board evaluation, basically,
So self-eval.
where we are discussing things that we've done, maybe things where we can be better,
Sure.
maybe setting setting some goals as to what we are, as a board, really interested in accomplishing, not just for the next year, but for the next 3 years. And of course, as this is something done annually, we can keep it to the 1 year. But I feel like when we have a strong consensus of what we really want to accomplish, I feel like it can move us forward better and more effectively. There's also where you can like have a calendar of what you're gonna do when, setting something like that in place is also something that can be done during a school board evaluation.
So that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that sort of kind of leads to the next question I was gonna ask you, which is in the materials that you've reviewed or the sample questionnaires or whatever, is there one that sticks out to you that you think we should use?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm still looking over them.
I think you sent this out initially and they got poor response, did you not?
In generally speaking, I
Goals.
asked for goals, correct, but
That would
this
be
is,
part
this
of
is
this.
tied to, right, the actual review of our performance overall, or how we're operating, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, it strikes me odd that a legislative body is assessing itself. Given that we have different constituencies and different goals when we come in, it strikes me odd. You know, we're both an executive body and a decision-making big and a legislative body at the same time. Now, I can see an executive getting some kind of assessment if we reported up a chain of responsibility. But the idea that the board itself, first of all, would have a common purpose doesn't necessarily strike me as being appropriate. I am accountable to my constituents. I'm not sure that, especially if I find myself in the minority, believe I was accountable to the rest of the board. And perhaps it shouldn't be on our list of things to do and policies and procedures.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
Yeah, all jokes aside, I tend to agree with you. You know, there's a nuance, I think, to how do we evaluate ourselves as a board, right? But we haven't fully entertained the mechanisms and the methods that are out there, and I think if we do that, we can see if something fits, if something doesn't fit, if we can use an outside resource, like maybe some of the administrators, maybe Dr. Nichols, that then evaluate us and say, hey, this is where you guys are doing good things and it's helping us, this is where you're holding us up and not. So I think we can entertain that, which then may mean that one of us or all of us needs to propose some amendment or change to the policies as they exist now, right? Because we are bound by those, whatever they say at the moment. So this is, sounds like a good item for us to put on and tackle.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else have any questions or comments on this one?
I would think your idea of a policy change is probably in place before we're moving forward with it. Just because it may not even be called an annual board evaluation. It may become something else with the understanding that we're not self-evaluating, we're not looking at what we've done.
Right. I mean, that's what it's called in the policy, that's what it's referred to in the norms and protocols.
Sure.
But obviously, we don't have to address that part. I just would like to have the conversation as far as goals and what we overall are looking to accomplish and do as a school board.
Is that, so I think this kind of relates back to what Mr. Vaught was suggesting a minute ago with the initial email. Is that the primary focus that you're trying to hit on here, is just other sort of, and I think that's something we could tackle in a work session, like revisiting together what are the goals versus a school board annual review as required by the existing policies. Now, they may overlap, but it sounds like this is one thing and this is another thing.
Right. I was just going by the policy and the way it was worded as the mechanism to get to that type of work session or a regular board meeting, whatever it would take to get us to that point where we could have that type of discussion.
So that may be something in the future we bifurcate, so we go deal with the policy in the annual review, and then we could always work session goals and things like that. Sure. Okay. Anybody else on this one, 8B? All right, moving forward, Ms. Dombrowski, you're up again with proposal to watch webinar.
Yes, so I signed up and attended a 3-part series webinar. It was essentially geared towards what can be done as a school board to attain and increase student achievement. This particular webinar that I'm recommending is called Monitoring Progress on Goals. It was done by an individual in Idaho. It was just phenomenal in the things that it presented and how we can learn, especially as we're looking to evaluate the metrics that are brought to us through the strategic plan, providing some insights that as a school board, I feel like it would be good for us to all be on that same page and just have that opportunity as a school board to watch it. We can pause it and discuss things, and they have the PowerPoint presentation with different pieces of information.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Is there a transcript of it?
I don't think there's a transcript, there's just a video and then the PowerPoint.
Can that be shared with us for us to view?
We are currently investigating that.
Okay.
Is your question to individually?
Yes.
Instead of collectively?
Yes,
I think
yes.
so.
Happy to, I'm sure it can be done at what cost, we could look at that.
Yeah.
I just wondered if, as a school board watching it, it might give us that opportunity to stop and discuss some of the things that are being brought up so that we can maybe have a consensus on some
So
of the
then,
ideas presented.
are you proposing that we watch this together at, for example, a work session or
Yes.
an upcoming work session? Oh, okay.
How long is it?
About an hour.
I would be reluctant to commit that much time to something that I don't know very much about. I would much prefer to read the transcript.
Well, I'm gonna take that idea and spin on it, Mr. Reimer, because, you know, outside of a copyright issue or, you know, how much we all have to pay to watch a certain thing, we all have an annual obligation for a certain amount of hours of continuing legal education in our roles as board members. And I think Ms. Dombrowski's maybe unspoken idea is maybe a good idea, which is, depending on what that is, 2 or 3 times a year, if we all got together, and we're not discussing business, we're just watching a proposal, I don't think we have to have public notice for that. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're able to, as a group, knock out some of our requirements, right? And that does something else that you guys may not be aware about as a whole, which is it saves us as a board money that we have allotted to spend on our continuing legal education requirements, which as of right now, that money's exhausted, so if we wanted to take on something else, we would not be able to. You know, there are, it's not right or wrong, but there are board members who are doing a lot more of that than other board members. So this is an opportunity for us to maybe equalize that and all get the education at the same time. The issue would be the material that one person may wanna watch and another person doesn't, which may be to your point, Mr. Reimer. So that could be something we figure out moving forward. Outside of copyright issues, right? If you gotta pay $200 for one person to watch it, I don't think all 5 of us can watch it, right? Without maybe doing something we're not supposed to be doing.
But
So-
if it fulfills our legal requirement for education and we were, you know, we could do this on a good budget, I would be a lot more willing to pursue this.
Right.
Well, I think I heard also the discussion, if we're gonna discuss that, then you're moving into a public meeting.
Correct.
So we'll need to make sure that we understand the dynamics of that as well.
Good point.
But yeah, if we could
Yeah.
roll that into a school board education piece, save money for the division, and, you know, it actually be part of that, then that'd be amazing.
Right.
I just, when a lot of the information that he presented, it just felt like, so I just kept thinking, what does this look like with us? And so be able to have that discussion, and you can pause it and discuss it as it's right there in front of us,
Yeah.
then I feel like it can help us, again, achieve some kind of consensus as to how we feel like we can apply it, or whether we want to apply it into what we're doing as a school board and with the strategigic plan.
Yeah, this
Sounds
is,
like that would constitute a meeting.
right, and it might, and so that's where maybe you have a little bit more homework to do to figure out, you know, what are we allowed to do copyright wise, what's your proposal for the structure of the meeting, is it public notice, is it not, are we discussing, are we not discussing, and maybe come back with a more specific proposal.
Sure.
You know, I like the idea of learning sessions for all of us that meet the requirements and we're all sort of digesting the same material. But I would also suggest that that aligns with the goals that we all have, right? So that may be part one, right, is that annual review and revisiting the goals and then seeing which educational materials are out there that align with the goals and then making sure we can do it so that we don't step over a line we're not supposed to be across.
Right.
All right, anybody else have any questions or comments on this one? Thank you. All right, Mr. Dombrowski, you're up again, batting third for proposal for November 7th resolution.
So several months ago, I read an article that talked about how November 7th is Victims of Communism Memorial Day. The article had a link that included, that went to the Civics Alliance of the National Association of Scholars, and it had a school board model resolution that could be adopted that specifies November 7th as Victims of Communism Memorial Day. The reason why November 7th is because it is the day that Lenin took over Russia, essentially, and that was in 1917, and that's the day that essentially kicked off communism and it began its malicious spread around the world. The document itself, the model resolution, we can review and determine if that's something, if there's anything within that we want to change. It also endorses the material that is provided online at the Victims of Communism Museum. I also went to the museum on Friday with several other school board members from across Virginia and received a presentation directly from the president. He also provided us with, they do have a book format that is like $19.99, but within the materials we can specify if there's a particular lesson that we want to be focused on. This is specific, and most of it is specifically geared towards middle and high school, but in July they are coming out with a 4th through 6th grade curriculum, and that will be geared primarily towards freedom movements. They also have a number of children's books that we could look into purchasing for our elementary school libraries that provide on a very gentle level information that helps the children to learn what communism does. And they also provide a free online training where teachers can obtain 24 hours of professional development if they want to become certified in this type of curriculum. They do also offer where they can come into the school and offer in-person professional development. I've sent out an email asking if there's a cost of that. I have not heard back yet, but again, this was just Friday. I was just thoroughly impressed by everything that they've put together and have been working on, and the efforts that they are putting forth to make sure that America understands what this is and why we need to be aware of it, and because that's what helps us to combat those types of ideas.
Mr. Dombrowski, is this something that the VDOE has in plans to place as part of a standard of learning in the social studies curriculum in Virginia?
The last time I looked at the standards of learning for history, I believe it had information in there. I do not remember specifically at what grade level that standard needed to be taught. And I don't know if I haven't looked at the very recently released standards for the history and social studies.
It would probably be when they teach World War I, around World War I history.
Yes, you can.
Right.
It definitely weaves in the middle and high school history.
So this would be like a supplemental to what's already part of the curriculum?
Well, it could, I don't understand specifically how the curriculum will be developed, if we're just pulling from different pieces. But this is something, and again, it's free online, so they could pull information from there. And it's an actual curriculum, so.
So it's a free resource.
Online is a free resource, and that's the expansive. This just provides some additional, I don't know that we have to buy one for every teacher. Again, looking into copyright, I'm not sure how that works. But just providing that as a resource.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
As much as I appreciate this, I think this is something that should go first to administrative for curriculum, take a look at. Because if, I know that VDOE is very stringent on what's out there for history, how that's followed, how that's taught in the public school system. And even as an addendum to what is already approved, I'm not sure how that would work out. I talked to them about another curriculum that I had of interest. So I would propose, I don't think this is something for us to take up. I don't think it's something for us to vote on. I don't think it's a proposal. I think it probably would be a better fit to go to administrative and have Mr. Miller or his team look at this and determine, okay, yeah, this is something that we're gonna talk to VDOE about and see if we can implement it, and or is this the desire of administration and the full board to even do this? I don't think it's something for the board.
Mr. Honor.
We're getting off topic. The original topic was the resolution itself. And there is no proposal on our agenda for the materials. Mr. Dombrowski can make that proposal at a later date. But right now, the resolution is about the original discussion was about the resolution, which I think is a great idea.
Well, I'm gonna challenge you on that, because if you look at the attachment, the resolution includes endorsing and commending the schools and school teachers in New Kent County to use the following resources. And then it has all the links to all the material that, I haven't read all of this material. I'm not sure history teachers have read all of this material. I don't know what it says. But the resolution goes beyond just sort of recognizing November 7th.
Right, right.
But again, that's something that could be removed before we adopt the resolution.
Mr. Chair, if I may add a
Yes, sir.
little context. House Bill 2191 was proposed this year, essentially doing what Ms. Dombrowski is asking, an annual proclamation from the governor, and then some additional components. Their local school boards would emphasize the topic in their instructional programs for those grade levels. Just context-wise, it was left in education so it did not make it out of the education piece. So I think there is, just looking historically, there is some push for that board, but it did not make it across the finish line. So it will not, under that premise, it will not go to VDOE for official proclamation piece. But there are tenets of anti-communism and what Mr. Dombrowski was talking about within the standards. I have not analyzed the new history standards because they're just being released, but
Did the House bill also propose a recognition of that day, November 7th?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it tabled?
Yes, sir. It got left in education, so it didn't make it out of the education subcommittee. But sometimes it takes a few sessions to move that forward.
I still don't think that prevents us from our own resolution, especially if we remove the references to the other materials.
Just context, yes, sir.
All right, to that end, I have another question. So then if we were going to vote to consider recognition of November 7th without necessarily the materials and so on, and maybe we save that for another day or see what General Assembly does, what do you envision that looking like? What does that entail? What does it mean? What does that do to the school? What are we doing just by honoring November 7th or recognizing, not honoring, recognizing November 7th?
That's a good point. I haven't thought that through all the way. My idea was essentially, you know, was it be a day that we make known. And in that respect, use that as an opportunity to teach a lesson about communism in the right format. Obviously, we wouldn't be looking to provide lesson in kindergarten through 3rd grade, but with the resources including that, and there's lots of other resources out there as well, but just something where we're starting to have that conversation and making children aware of it.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments on this item?
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to unfinished business, the fiscal year 26 superintendent's recommended budget, Ms. Haney Morgan.
Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Nichols, the budget. So we are asking for your approval this evening on our recommended budget, but we do have a couple of changes to present before you approve it. And so I've tried to make it very clear on this one page, which is hot off the press, and we're still working through this, but this is our recommendation to you. The chart that's at the top is the chart that, and this is in board docs as well, for anyone listening. The chart at the top is the chart that we provided at our last meeting. And really what that shows is the reduction, the $1.2 million that was our ask from the county has been reduced by $450,000 in the county administrator's recommended budget that's currently as is. We also have a state budget that has gone to the governor, and he has until May 2nd to sign. There is some hope that the revenues that we included, if you remember me telling you about some additional state revenue that we felt fairly comfortable with, we are suggesting that we continue to hold that revenue in this budget, knowing that the governor still has not signed the budget. Once he does sign that, we'll feel much better about where we are. If he does sign it without any veto action, we feel good with what we have included in the budget and we can proceed at that time. So that's basically the revenue portion, that top chart. If there's no questions on that, and we can go through the whole thing and then just talk about anything that you would like to discuss.
And board members, just so the county revenue is not completely set in stone. We continue to push for additional funding from the county as they are firming up their revenue sources and how much money is coming in. So we continue to advocate, and I know you guys are doing that too. So please continue to advocate. We would love to have additional revenue to hire additional teachers as we continue to grow and shift. This is just where we are right now related to those things. We will not act on this budget until we have a governor's, we have that finalized. But for just us moving forward, we will come back before you several more times, I have a feeling, to do amendments before we actually adopt this budget. So what we're asking for tonight is the approval piece, but we will not adopt until the county finalizes theirs sometime in May. So just process-wise and kind of talking about where, but Haney's going to talk to you about kind of what we are proposing as cuts. And I will tell you, this budget worries me to a degree. I think Haney and her team and everybody for really thinking creatively to get us to a balance point. So with that, I'll let Haney kind of talk about some of the reductions. And I'll
Mr. Chair, before we continue, what was the county's rationale, being they don't have their numbers together, to immediately slash $450,000? Where did they?
I think they're working with what they have, similar to what we do when we're anticipating state revenue. Same on their side, I'm sure they're looking at all of their revenue sources and numbers that they're getting that they either have or do not have yet. And so they're also trying to build a budget without knowing what their revenue picture looks like. So this is the most conservative on their side of what they feel like we could receive on our end, which to Dr. Nichols' point is that We're hopeful that maybe this could increase a little bit as their full revenue picture comes to light. Maybe there's a little bit more portion of that the schools could receive. So we certainly want you all to still advocate for that, as we are with the finance team and Mr. Hathaway at the county, and we appreciate every dollar we get. It will certainly go directly towards additional positions. So that's kind of where they are right now.
Yeah, seems like to me that would be left as it was with the request until at what time they found out they didn't, or they didn't get the extra money. My concern is if, in fact, they do get what they hope and it is exceeded, will that indeed be put back? Or even increased to meet what our real needs are?
I do believe, just based on past years and different scenarios that we have worked through with the county, I have seen that happen.
Okay.
The conversations that we have are very, very real, I feel like, and I do believe that if there is a little bit that can be carved out for schools, I do believe that that's a goal of theirs, that they would try to work to. I could be completely wrong, but I have seen that happen in the past.
No, that's encouraging, thank you.
And from our point of view, I do get a little bit concerned. I wouldn't want to come to you tonight and say, yep, we've got 1.2 million, maybe. I'd rather be a little more conservative on this side, knowing realistically what we can do and what Ms. Anderson can hire, starting now, so that we don't get ourselves in a little bit of trouble moving forward, if that makes sense.
I get it. Thank you.
So some of the adjustments that we had on our last worksheet at our last meeting, you will see them in here. You will see also a couple of new items, so I'll point them out. The recommended adjustments now on the expenditure side, so now we need to reduce our expenses. We would like to modify the maintenance technician to a mid-year hire. We spoke about that. That's really a position that you don't necessarily have to hire for a September start or an August start. You really could potentially find a good employee in January. So that's a little bit of a savings there. We are recommending to eliminate the gifted teacher position that was in the budget. We will also be eliminating the high school assistant principal. And keep in mind, these are all still needs and goals that we have in positions that we would like to fund. So again, any dollars that become available, hopefully next year's budget will look a little more favorable from the state. And so you will see a lot of these requests come back to you.
And just so we're clear for the public record, that's the high school assistant principal 3.
Correct.
Not our existing.
Correct.
None of these
are
existing people
Right.
in positions, so thank you for the clarifications.
The next one, I don't want to complicate you, but I've actually added money into the budget. And what this is to fully fund a secretary position that we had. Originally, when we brought to the budget, we were trying to be creative in saving the cost of a paraprofessional position that we had, to eliminate that position and to add a teaching position. And since then, we have determined that we cannot fund that teaching position, but we do need another teacher position. So I'm now actually putting the cost of the paraprofessional back in there, because we are not able to cut the paraprofessional position.
Okay.
So what that does is still gives us another funded teacher, it's just we have to fully fund it. The projected healthcare we discussed already, so what that is I'll just be reducing what I'm budgeting for projected vacancies and new hires and things of that nature. We have a special education administrative position. We will not be rehiring for that position. So in the past, we were looking at possibly shifting or doing a mid-year hire. We fully eliminated that position. We went back and really looked at our custodial services, what is being spent at Bridging Communities and how that relates to our contract and what we're funding versus what Bridging Communities is funding. So we're gonna pass that expense hopefully on to Bridging. We are gonna work with them and try to figure out the best way for them to fund that in their budget. But that is a line item that we can reduce. And to balance just back to the 450, I've added that 10,288 back into our contingency line.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So who is going to be taking on a special education administrative
Thank you, Ms.
role?
That's great, and I wanna make the point that we're trying to protect classroom, we're trying to protect salaries for teachers, or for staff. So the senior leadership team in New Kent can sit around one of these tables, and we're gonna reduce one of those. So it will, the short answer is everybody, like, we're all gonna take on a little bit. Dr. Younger's done a phenomenal job. Emily Raper is here, supervisor of elementary. We also have a secondary supervisor, like, everybody's gonna take, we're already stretched and we wear a lot. Ross, is gonna do some reorganization in his department and try to take a piece, and so we're all gonna do a little bit, something, there's gonna be a piece that I have, so, you know, everybody, all hands on deck to make that happen, but if that balances the budget and allows us to do the additional 1% for teachers in addition to the 3%, we're gonna be all in to do that. If it allows us to keep an additional elementary teacher or add this special ed piece, you know, we're gonna do that. So, I mean, we're doing exactly, you know, that's who we are and what we do, so, yeah.
Very good. So those are the total expenditure adjustments that you would be approving tonight for $450. I thought it would just be helpful as a reminder of what is actually still in the budget. So I've just made a little detailed list here. Right now, we are keeping the 1% additional salary for teachers. We are really trying to hold that harmless. We would recommend holding on contracts until the governor were to sign the budget, so we're hoping that that will come through quickly. We do still have the STEAM teacher at George Watkins. We are holding our ADM at $3,500, which was important to me. I'm glad that we're able to do that. We do have an additional secondary teacher in reserve that we're able to add. We are continuing with the preschool teacher through BPI that we added. Our maintenance technician, while we're getting it mid-year, that's still a very crucial position, and we're happy to keep that in the budget. And then again, we did have 2 positions that we had in the budget that weren't funded, but were funded through attrition, so we do still have the bus driver and the conversion of the part-time auto driver to full-time. So just a couple of concerns that were listed on our page the last time we met, and also just to let you know that this is ongoing and there may be further adjustments that we make or transfers in positions. With every resignation or with every change, we really do try to look at each position and really determine where is the need across the district. And this is where we are today. So next steps would be you would approve the recommended budget with these recommended changes this evening, and then we would wait for the governor's approval of the budget and look at what the county does with their approval, and then we'll come back to you and ask for you to adopt our budget. If there are changes, we'll amend it before we adopt it.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Reimer.
Add one thing that might be relevant. I reviewed Friday the STEAM curriculum along with Dr. Nichols at Quinton Elementary School. My assessment is that it's as valuable as any of the resource things that we teach, along with music and art. And they were being, I saw first graders being taught engineering and problem solving. They weren't playing with 3D printers. They were being taught the principles of engineering, iteration, strategies, all the kinds of things that you need to know as you tackle the technical problem.
As a STEAM skeptic, Mr. Reimer was invited to see STEAM in action, just how we do it. And just special thank you, Quentin was here tonight. Ashley Campbell does a fantastic job there, and really, you know, took time to kind of share some stuff in between. We actually got to see 2 classes, the end of one and the start of another, and to see it in action. So, good stuff.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for Ms. Morgheim?
Not from Ms. Morgheim, but I think it would be incumbent upon the board members to advocate for the budget with the additional $450. The cuts that are being made are not, we can't make light of those. They're big cuts, and we need to continue to advocate and continue to with our constituents and with the board members for the full budget. even though we're faced with approving what we have before us, we need to continue to advocate for
Absolutely.
the full.
And Mr. Vaughn, to that point, that 450,000 represents, and I'll oversimplify it, 6 additional teaching positions. So you saw the power of what our teachers do. 6 additional teaching positions would be incredible to add, and I know Ms. Anderson can hire them. And I'm not saying we would do 6, but you know, that kind of piece of, thank you.
Yeah, that's a concern. I mean, and classroom size, I mean, that's not something that people, the general public, hear about or recognize unless you have students in the school. But when you start to increase the, when we look at teacher retention, and that all plays into the same thing, because then you're gonna overstress and overwork by adding a number of students. So that's why I'm saying, we need to make everyone aware that this is not just funny money over in the side in our pocket. This is essential funding that goes to the classroom.
Absolutely, and class size absolutely directly impacts students and student learning because they have less one-on-one time with that teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to the citizen comment period. Madam Clerk, just want to confirm we still have no signups. All right, thank you. Now we are on to action items. So the first item is approval of the Perkins Grant as presented by Mr. Miller. Do I hear a motion to approve the grant?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second to Ms. Dombrowski. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye. All right, motion passes 5-0. Next is the consider approval of the student fees, fines, and charges policy. Do I hear a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Reimer with the second. Madam Clerk, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano?
Aye. All right, approval passes 5-0. The next item is consideration of approval for the vote of consideration for the Technology Oversight Committee as presented by Board Member Mr. Reimer. Based on our discussion, I am going to move to table this vote until there is a meeting with Mr. Terry and we can get some specifics.
I'll second that.
As we've discussed. Thank you, Mr. Reimer.
I would also suggest that we table the rest of the.
Well, one at a time.
Okay.
One at a time. Thank you. Ms. Davis. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye. All right, so the Technology Oversight Committee is tabled until a later date. Now we have consideration of approval for Ms. Dombrowski's proposal to conduct an annual school board self-evaluation at a meeting to be held prior to the end of the school year. Anybody like to make a motion in this regard?
I'd like to propose that we table this until there is movement on the procedures and more finality about the format of the evaluation.
Second. Go ahead, Mr. Vaughn.
Second.
All right. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer?
Aye.
Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski?
Aye.
Ms. Cunha?
Aye.
Mr. Pagano?
Aye. All right, we are tabled. Moving on to consider approval for the vote of consideration for the proposal to watch the webinar.
Mr. Chair, I propose that we table also that until we are able to gather more information.
Mr. Vaught, can you give me a little bit more specifics on the information, please?
Until it is vetted through the curriculum, administrative curriculum review. Is that the?
No,
That's the next one.
The webinar. Oh, yeah, no. I think until we find out the information on the copyright issues and what will constitute a public board meeting and the format of how we view that.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
And whether or not it fulfills, and whether or not it fulfills education requirements for the board.
Sure.
I second.
All right, Ms. Cunha second. Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaught.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, 5-0 tabling. And then we have the consider approval of vote of consideration for the November 7th resolution. Do I have any motions?
I move also that we table this until we have discussed it with administration in the curriculum guidelines of VDOE and where they stand on how this would be and could be implemented.
I would offer a second, what is a motion?
You can move to amend Mr. Vaught's motion,
Yes.
you can make your own motion.
I would move to amend Mr. Vaught's motion to table until a resolution that does not require instructional materials in the classroom is passed, or it is reviewed with the administration to determine what materials are appropriate.
All right, Mr. Vaught, for clarification, will you withdraw your motion?
I will.
Thank you. All right, so the motion before us is to table the November 7th resolution based on Mr. Reimer's motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaught.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, November 7th resolution is tabled for further review. Moving on to consideration of approval of the superintendent's proposed fiscal year 26 budget. Do I have a motion?
I move that it be approved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Davis, please poll the board.
Mr. Reimer.
Aye.
Mr. Vaught.
Aye.
Ms. Dombrowski.
Aye.
Ms. Cunha.
Aye.
And Mr. Pagano.
Aye. All right, budget is approved 5-0. We're moving on to the comment section. Mr. Reimer.
Well, I hope that the community appreciates that budget times are difficult. Right now, our district is among the least funded in the state for the size of our district. We try to spend our money primarily on our teachers and the instruction of students. Our administrative overhead is low compared to other districts. When you think about what may or may not be necessary as time comes forward, it's important to let your supervisors know that spending on schools is as important as some of the other pieces that the county requires. Whether or not that means a tax increase certainly is something that you need to talk to your supervisor about. There's very little more that we can do in terms of cutting our school costs and still maintain the quality of education that we're doing here. Thank you.
Mr. Vaught?
Yeah, I just commend the students that were represented that came tonight and their accomplishments. Quite exemplary coming from the size school system that we do have and the achievements that they have accomplished. And kudos to their parents and certainly the teachers. And the presentation with the special education is second to none. I mean, the general public probably doesn't realize that because of the growth of New Kent County, we have more students coming in, but we also have more special education students coming in. And not just more, but students that, because parents recognize what an incredible job we do in New Kent County with special ed, they are targeting New Kent County as a residence to bring those students here purposely. And with an increased number of difficulties and situations that are above and beyond. So I just commend that whole department, Dr. Young, everyone that's involved in that, and just doing an exemplary job with everything that's being done there. Thank you.
Mr. Dombrowski?
So I have the honor and privilege of serving on the Maggie Walker Regional School Board, and this, at the last meeting we held, there was 2 students that were recognized, and if I can find where they went. I tried to be prepared. There we go. Okay. The first one is Julia. She received a scholarship to go to Costa Rica. Julia McClintock, she is in the class of 26. She was selected as a junior travel scholarship recipient. This is a national competition through the American Association of Teachers of Spanish and Portuguese, and she has been awarded a summer trip to Costa Rica. Her trip will balance a focus on conservation, ecotourism, and education while immersing her in the language and culture. She had to go through an extensive application process, including a written essay and a 5-minute video interview that allowed her to showcase her talent and proficiency in Spanish, and they spoke very highly of how extremely well she did. So well done, Julia McClintock, and you're representing New Kent. The other one is Jillian. She is a member of the We the People team, which Maggie Walker has. Her name is, oh sorry, I just wrote Julian. On February 1st, Maggie Walker's We the People team competed at the Virginia State Championship competition at Randolph-Macon College in Ashland, Virginia, and won. It is the school's 25th state championship in the We the People program. So thank you again to Julian for representing New Kent on that awesome team. Otherwise, wanted to give a shout out to George Watkins. They had an incredible science fair. The New Kent Middle School play Puffs or 7 Increasingly Eventful Years at a Certain School of Magic and Magic was phenomenal, very entertaining, well done. I also enjoyed the opportunity to be at the high school for the government roundtables and work with the students. They had phenomenal questions and loved to see them engaged, and Mr. Pagano's son was at my table at one point and very impressed with his question as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Pagano gave them to him too.
Just love serving in New Kent on the school board. Grateful for the opportunity to serve alongside all of you and the chance to make a difference. And I just want to thank Haney and everyone for all the efforts you have to put in the budget process, and to all the teachers and everything that they do to serve our children so highly. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cunha?
Many wonderful things were said. I have nothing to add. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody, as always, for coming out, participating. It's 8 o'clock at night, so we appreciate your here and your effort and hanging in with us. It was a long meeting tonight. I mirror the comments made by my colleagues. Everything they said, it holds true. I am overly impressed with the special education program and the teachers and the videos we watched this evening with the elementary school. And tonight's students, I mean, I wanted to get the entire basketball team in here, but those 2 gentlemen are the cream of the crop. Their character is outstanding. Their grades are obviously outstanding. I'm just overly impressed with those 2 guys. And I would implore everyone to reach out to your Board of Supervisors, district representative, and advocate for increased funding, additional funding, more funding, whatever you want to call it, for our schools. It is desperately needed. We need to fill those positions. We need the 1.2 million plus some extra. The 450 cut doesn't bode well with this board, so it helps if we have the public help us in that regard as well. So thank you again, everybody. Dr. Nichols?
Yes, sir, thank you. Just really briefly, you saw some great enrollment stories here. That's just one of the 3 that we have. Let me tell you about another one, and that's on the employment front. We have some state champions, and we'll bring them to a future board meeting. Harrison Adams got gold in marine service technology. He's in the small engine marine at Bridges Community. Caleb Merritt is in the HVAC program. He also got gold at the state level. Caleb already has his job ready for him as soon as he walks across the stage. We always talk about walking into something. That's what our kids are doing. And then Nathan Sweeney got bronze in power equipment technology, which is also part of small engines. So Harrison and Caleb are moving on to the national competition. So there were 5 total medalists coming from bridging. 3 of them were part of New Kent Elementary. So part of our budget is adding 20 additional seats to bridging communities. We have 29 kids returning and 95 more applicants. So we are continuing to push that employment piece to make sure kids have that opportunity. So the other thing I want to say is we did have the Monument Avenue 10K. It was a wellness initiative that we put out. Several runners are in this room. You may have seen walking in. The 10K is no joke. We had almost 100 staff members participate in that 10K. So we really, 4th largest team out of 20,000 runners. We had the 4th largest team. They're asking how we did it. And we did it because we're Team New Kent. Like, we pulled together, and I gotta tell you, there was something special, because it's an out and back, to look over at the people faster than you and see that run Team New Kent shirt and go, I've got this. And then when you're on your way back to see, like, everybody cheered for everybody, and there were run Team New Kent signs, and it was absolutely unbelievable. So we talk about retention, we talk about taking care of people. Like, we really try to think differently about that and provide full service. So stay tuned for the possibilities of next year. We already have our marching orders. We need brighter shirts because there are other people in blue, so we had some unofficial Team New Kent members. But just thankful to work with the team, and shout out to Ms. Davis for really doing the back end of that work and making sure that we were straight with the Monument Avenue 10K. And then shout out to the bus driver who parked in I still don't even know how he got in that alley, but that's what our bus drivers do. Like, they make things happen. So just everybody pulls together, just like we're doing with this budget. So we're gonna make things happen. It is the 4th marking period. We will be on the graduation stage before you know it. We only have 2 more board meetings before graduation, just to put that in context. So the year is flying, but it's an honor and a privilege to serve amazing students, families, staff, and community. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. The next meeting of the school board will be on Monday, May 5th, held here in the historic courthouse boardroom. The closed session will begin at 5:30. Regular session will begin at 6. With that, this evening's meeting is adjourned at 8:03 p.m.